All right, so what did the Fed actually say? Anything?
NYMEX diesel September futures settled around $2.27 a gallon.
Basically, they don't know anything, and the tariffs still aren't priced in. Seems like be what they said. Did any of you play the pushback through balance, or we still not comfortable playing those kind of setups? How we feeling? You played it? All right, nice. We're basically now just watching to see if we get a lower high here. Like we knew that the bid would be here at this 190 to 200. It's our target. We're now watching to see if this offer is willing to now defend this 230, 240. Same as before. Before I left you guys, it's the same range, same areas. Just watching to see if sell side is able to now maintain this, and if they are able to maintain this, if we can then push below 190, 200 for that expansion downwards. It just needs to show it. We are back below our 15-minute VWAP, so this is where they would try if they were going to. I'm just going to keep an eye on this, see how price settles. Again, our 190 to 200 is our flip. That is our big pivot on the day so far. For ES, it's very similar. This like 94 to 98. Just need to show interest above. Without it, it's going to be very hard to be excited about this area. I have a feeling that Russell tests into VWAP as resistance as we test into our highs here of our top of balances on NQ and ES, and then we see a seller step in again. That's just my first reaction of what I think could potentially happen here. So I'm going to be watching this little upthrust that we're doing and seeing if sell side steps in here across the board into our VWAPs. So this is Russell into VWAP, ES and NQ into our PVZ POCs. So we need to either see this flip supportive or we should expect reversion back down. So we're really dependent on secondary buyers stepping in here to try to defend these flips. Failure to do so is going to just be a look above and fail, and then rotation back down. All right, huge hold so far. Rotating up. Is 20 points here from 40s. Should be your first risk off if you are playing it. Yes, a bit more room. All right, as we come up into our pivot here at 406, 409, this is your first risk off on ES. If you are playing off of the flip of 94 to 98. Same thing on NQ. If you're in from this 30 to 40 flip, we are approaching secondary target here into 76 to 86. You want to be
Brent
starting
crude
to
futures settle at
risk off a bit,
$66.84
move
a
stops up a
barrel,
little,
up
just in case we do,
$1.05 or 1.6%.
just in case we do a full reversion of our balance. We're unsure as of yet, so just take off a little risk and then let runners run. See if we can hold these balance highs. If we can hold our top edges, there will be an opportunity to reload, of course, right? If we flip these. So far, again, we went right to target, went right back down to our 190 to 200. We then flipped back over our 30 to 40, which went offer. It is now flipped back bid, and we are rotating back up to our 76 to 86. So we're going to watch to see if this holds or if offer sustains. Understand that this is POC of our sell side candle from the news, right? And this is where you should be expecting that offer to be sitting. Same thing on ES. This is where we're watching to see if these sellers here are going to hold us down and sustain, or if the bid can push back above and start to show interest higher. Something to note as well is that this is Russell into our POC shift and ETH low. It's a very good pivot. So everything's really just at a primary target. If we can flip it, awesome. If not, then you've still made a decent amount of points on the upside trade. Right. So this is like a $400 trade around there on ES from our flip. You can see that here. There it is. I've risked off on the ES leg, just in NQ now. As we are pushing into target, watching to see if we can hold a runner there.
Just a reminder about 10 minutes time. We're expected to hear from Fed's Bostic participating in a moderated conversation on the economic outlook at FinTech South 2025 Woodruff Arts Center's Symphony Hall. And that's where no text expected, but there is a Q&A with the moderator. We'll see if we can try and get a video.
Okay, right. So both sides worked. That's all I'm trying to point out here. I played both sides on both instruments. Just our balance rotations that we are already familiar with. Yep, exactly. And again, like our pivots are 10 points. So like sometimes they're not going to work and that's okay, but it's about understanding our structural levels and just playing it. Sometimes we get stopped. It's all right. Just play the other side. Let it be. You're risking 10 points to make 40 points, right? Like, and in this case, I mean, it's like, that's such a good risk to reward that as long as you're not over leveraging so that you blow up, you know, being wrong once or twice, like you just kind of make money. Right? It's just one of those things. It's important to recognize, like, as long as you're being mechanical about it and your risk stays the same, right? And you're just playing your balance rotations, like it is what it is. Like what we talked about the other day, it's like if they're gonna continue to offer me 20 or 40 points and we're in balance and you refuse to take it because all you're looking for is expansion, like that's a big issue because they're offering you a free rotations over and over again. Take what's being offered. People want to overcomplicate this thing so much, but it's just like respect that the market is in a constant influx between, you know, balance and expansion, right? And it's just like when we're in those balance rotations, like price is going to remain the same, right? It's going to rotate between that higher time frame buyer and seller while positioning is happening, and we can make crumbs from that, like pretty definitively, while they build out their position. Like it just does not matter to us. Just trade what's being offered. So I don't want to like really talk about this too much, but I want to just like point out again, like you can make money, like good money, just trading micros. And it's something that like I think a lot of you just don't respect. Like you think you have to trade NQ to make money, and you think you have to trade ES to make money, and like yeah, those are great instruments. But some of like your risk tolerance is just not, you're not ready for it, right? So you might as well be trading the micro contracts and then scaling in and out like I've been showing with these trades that I'm posting. And as long as you have like a positive expectancy, you're gonna be all right, man. It's so like here's like our breakdown with just MNQ today.
About 4 minutes ago, we're expected to hear from Fed's Bostic speaking in a moderated conversation on the economic outlook at FinTech South 2025 Woodruff's Art Center, Symphony Hall. With no text is expected, but there is Q&A.
Right, so I just wanted to show this. Is like we've got lots of trades, but we have a positive expectancy and a profit. Our profitable trades are 69% of the time, right? We're keeping our loss minimal. So our average losing trade is $34. Our largest losing trade is $96. Well, we're maintaining a average largest winning trade of 225 on a micro, right? And our average winning trade is 86, right? So we have a positive expectancy. So even when we get stopped out and when we're on the wrong side of a pivot, we're still then making back these losses very quickly, because when we're wrong for 10 points, we're then right for 40 points. You know what I mean? So if I'm willing to scalp and play our rotations with micros like this, allowing me to be pretty free in my trading and not really care as much because my losses are smaller, my gains are more, but it's keeping me stimulated. It's keeping me aware and respectful of our levels. And then I can trade, let's say, ES, right, on the day at only our most important pivots. So that allows me to then position and trade one contract of ES and then have something like this for today, right? Where I'm allowed to do my scalping with NQ, with micros, MNQ, and then ES I can just stay in larger positions. Do you see how my average time is from 7 minutes, and then this is 27 in an hour? And we're able to keep our losses really tight. So $200 on a single ES contract, right, getting stopped out. We just invalidated. That's all it was. So my longest losing trade is just me getting stopped out after trying to hold a position. It happens. But that allows me to be able to be a little bit more fluid with my positioning and only play our key pivots when we're doing these bigger rotations on ES, and then allowed me to be a bit more flexible in my shorter rotations on MNQ. So I'm not over positioning, I'm not over leveraging, but I'm using two instruments and using them correctly, right? I'm only playing our major pivots on ES. And when we get over or lower, I don't touch it. I only wait for retests, and then we play that. And then we allow these rotations to play out because it's balance. And then on MNQ, we can be a bit more flexible with our positioning, you know,
Surely
averaging in, and then playing these little micro levels.
On him, though.
Because MNQ has a bit more movement, has a bit more volume, a bit more volatility, and so we can make money a bit quicker on that while still having our risk be pretty minimal with the micro contracts. I'm not over leveraging, I'm just compounding. Right? Like the average gain there was $90 on MNQ per contract. But it adds up. And then all of a sudden on the day, we're up 6K, right? Like, that's good money, man. That's what people make in like a month and a half on like a $15 an hour salary, right? Like if you aren't happy making that kind of money, I don't know. Even just trading the micros, like 2K in a day, insane. We've lost like a lot of concept, we've lost touch with reality a bit with trading. We forget the actual value of things in our time. And being able to do something like this, sitting in front of a computer, just trading our rotations based off of some chicken scratch that I've got on charts is insane. And once you get more comfortable, right, like you can size up. It's not a big deal. Like our levels are, the reason why we're playing these balance areas is because of the liquidity that's present, right? It allows us to be filled very easily at these areas because they're very liquid. Just start being okay taking, 20 points, 10 points, and let that add up. And like Varg just took out like 7 payouts this week, and he on average trades 10 points. He takes 10 points on NQ. Understand that you can just compound. If you're only trading our edges and you're allowing to play and you're taking profits and you're taking 10 to 20 points, but you've got very tight risk and invalidation, like it adds up. It really does. That shift out of that is just like, it's so, like when you get that shift in your perspective, like things, like you'll wonder what you were doing before. It's like one of those things where it's like almost, I don't want to say it's like a euphoria, but like a eureka, but it almost is, where you're like, holy shit, like what was I doing? Why was I so unwilling to just take profit? Like Like, why did I need to be looking for more? Why was I so unwilling to just let my trades play and just take profit and take risk off and just be done? Yeah, exactly, Kowalski. I think that's actually really good, having that kind of like a primary income and then having trading as your secondary and staying having what am I trying to say? Still having that perspective. I think it's so key. Your whole name is there. I'm gonna delete that for you. Yeah. But I appreciate you showing that. I think for most people, like until you have a huge, like a decent sized cushion and passive income coming in, like having like a full-time job or and something that you can then do this as like your side hustle and then build out savings with it, I think is just such a better position to be in than trying to like quit your job and do this full time. Because again, like this is something people don't realize, but this is like one of the I've said this before, but this is one of the only jobs where if you do poorly and you have bad days, where you can go negative. Like if you do bad in your personal job, you get written up, you get fired potentially, but they don't take money away from you. You do badly on a day in the market, then they're taking money out of your pocket. Right? Like it's very hard to have bad days and recover when you have nothing. And it could be like really detrimental to your mental. And so having some sort of like primary or secondary income source where you can be a little bit more relaxed and allow things to kind of just build over time is just going to help you so much mentally, because there isn't so much weight on your shoulders to be perfect every single day. In the beginning, that is like such a hard thing to struggle with and try to persevere through. And I think it's like one of the biggest challenges that people try to expand and push themselves a bit too quickly. Where they try to do too much. They try to expand too quickly. They try to quit their job too early, and they don't let things just like build out that safety net and build up their confidence. Where like they'll have a nice couple winning weeks, but like it's how do you perform when you're at your worst, right? Are you able to recover? Are you able to mentally handle that and get back into the game after having a couple losing days in a row? Or do you start doubting yourself, and does your self-confidence leave, and does your trades then start to suffer because of that? Do you have rent that on your shoulders where it's like, if I don't have a good week, I am not going to be able to live, right? Like those are those areas where like you're going to have such a hard time performing because you have too much weight on your shoulders. You have too much counting on you performing to your best ability every day while not allowing yourself to be human. So, but once you have that, safety net, things become a lot easier because you can start to have bad days and they don't affect you because you have the experience to know that like bad days happen, and you have the confidence and self-awareness to know that you'll be okay, right? So again, like I think like your primary focus, and I've talked about this before, is just taking this pretty, I don't want to say casually, but building out that safety net and building out those passive income sources That's why I'm such a proponent of the Hydra options thing, because like then Braxton's just trading for you passively, right? Like you're just building out your income while you're able to do this. That's a passive income source for you. And then you can build out other passive income sources as well. And then you're able to then really focus in on this without having to worry about it so much. Finding those kinds of passive income sources where you don't have to really touch it, and it just lets you start to establish multiple income streams is just so big for your confidence. Having that security is like key. It's paramount to your mental health and being able to perform to the best of your ability on a daily basis. And it doesn't have to be Hydra, right? Like that's just like such an easy example because it's performing well and you don't have to do anything. And it's something that like I'm familiar with. But I mean, that could be you getting into, rentals, right? Like real estate. That's a big one for a lot of people, real estate. Or it could be you getting into, some internet businesses and passive income streams. Selling a course, right? Like that's a passive income stream. Selling indicators, that's a passive income stream, right? Like those are things that we've done because it's passive. It's like it makes sense to try to have those opportunities.
FinTech South live now.
Because it's multiple streams of income where it makes us feel more secure in what we're doing, and then allows us to then trade better. And setting those up for yourself is just so important. Having like a drop shipping business could be your passive income stream. I don't know. I'm not a guru, so like I'm not familiar with all of them, but like that's what you should start to focus on first. And then like everything else becomes better in your life because you're way less stressed about money. I don't think you like, I don't want to like rant about this too much longer, but you don't realize how much of a weight it is on your shoulders until it's like lifted, how much it's holding you back, being so stressed and like trying to trade like that. And I've talked about I've talked about this before, but the ability to scale multiple accounts and being able to trade like one account and then have that copied over. So like having like, 7 or 5, doesn't matter, just, random number of prop accounts that all take the same trade, is that you can take, two $200 trades a day. And then all of a sudden you have an insane amount of income coming in by just multiplying your odds. Just by scaling the amount of accounts you have without actually scaling size. There's never been a better opportunity to scale your potential with prop firms. Once you start to learn how to game the system, right? And gaming the system is by understanding when the odds are in your favor, right? Taking trades that have a mechanical reason to perform, right? Have set risk and just trading those rotations. I mean, imagine a balanced day where you have 10 points of risk and you're able to trade that on 5 accounts, and your P&L, your risk to reward, your RR is 4-1, right? So you're risking 40 points across, so 10 points per account, 4 accounts, and all of a sudden you're capturing 40 points on each account. I mean, you're done for the day after one trade, and all you had to do is be patient. And then you're done, you leave. It's when you try to sit here for the entire day and capture every rotation and only scale on one account that it's kind of hurts, because the more time you sit here, the more opportunities you have to fail. People will think about it and be like, oh, it's more opportunities to grow. But it's like, I mean, it depends on how you look at the market. And ideally, you want to be in it for the least amount of time as possible, because every time you're in the market is risk that you're putting on for yourself. So if you can compound, and just like trade your one setup a day and make that money and be able to scale your accounts like that, like that's huge. And then dip, leave, run, go live your life. And do that until, you build out your confidence and you can grow your accounts. If you want to sit here, right, you can have an account where you risk it But don't do it on all of your accounts. Have that safety net. Do you want to just like hang out with me and scalp all day? Sure. But it shouldn't be all of your accounts. Thanks. I don't know. I just it's one of those things that like you hear and you're like, yeah, like that makes sense. But then like you'll catch yourself just like not doing it. It's one of those things that you have to really focus in on and be honest with yourself about. Be like, what am I here for? A short time, or like am I looking for like a lotto ticket, or am I looking for like a sustained goal, and do I understand my risk, and do I understand what I need to do, and am I willing to be gradual with my reward, right? Because you can gamba it all on one trade and maybe blow up, maybe be successful, but like there's such a better opportunity here with the ability to grow slowly but safely if you're willing. And I just hope people start to recognize that. I am risked off here into 20s. Let's see if we can flip this, but that's my full risk off now. If we can flip ETH low, then I'll look for more. But this is our 419 target on ES as we're pushing into it, as well as our 320, 335 target here on NQ. Just into these highs. I don't know if we have any interest above. It hasn't really seemed like it so far on the day. But if we want to flip it, then sure, we can look for more. I didn't have too much left, so I'm just risking off into a known pivot, and then if it flips and we can build out this area, then I'll look to continue. If you have the ability to hold, there's nothing wrong with holding up here. There's very clearly someone still interested at this 300 on NQ, but I'm just going to risk off. And maybe I miss out. It'll be all right. We can always get back in. I'm not worried about it. It's just flagging, right? So like there's a lot of potential for continuation if we can show interest over our ETH low. But again, just start 230, 240 pivot, playing that up into target, into 75, 85. And then we got a nice little breakout. No retest, so no real entrance for me to get back in. And then I just let this thing hold and play, right? It's just our balance rotation back down. Didn't get stopped out, didn't push below 230s, so no reason to exit. And then we just rotated back up into target. And that's the trade. Let's see how we build out up here. I just had I had to take a call with the Cleveland Clinic because they are potentially coming on as a client of mine. But the person I was talking to said that I might not be able to, even as a contractor, they want to do drug tests for me, which I thought was really interesting. It seems a bit odd. Yeah. It's like art field, so I'd be doing internal marketing for them. But they said that they had to talk. I told they, and it's not just weed, it's nicotine as well, which I've never heard of in my entire life. They said that they test for nicotine. And I was like you can't smoke, you can't be on a patch, you can't be on anything. So I asked for more clarity on that. But like that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, both are legal in Ohio. Even in she said even if you have a medical card like I do for weed, that you wouldn't be allowed. But that's like uh I don't know. That's wild. I've never like I don't know. I've never done work for a hospital before, but it seems like insane. That's what I said. Yeah, I was like, what? What? Like you're really trying to tell me that everyone at the Cleveland Clinic, there's no one who smokes? Is that what you're trying to say? Doubtful. So Ohio does not have smoker protection laws, so they can do whatever they want. While Ohio law prohibits smoking in public places and workplaces, employers can legally make employment decisions based on whether or not an employee smokes, including hiring, firing, and compensation. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Doesn't well, that's what I asked them because I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't know. I mean, it seems wild to me, but I mean, it's a hospital, so maybe it's whatever. I mean, it's whatever. It's just very interesting. She said she was gonna talk to someone about it. It was just like a general like human resources person that I talked to. But I've never in my life heard of that until today. Thought that was interesting. Doesn't specify what drug. I mean, she said specifically like all drugs, including nicotine. And then when I asked for more information or clarity on the nicotine thing, it was like, yeah, like you can fail the test, but then you'll get retested 90 days later. Yeah, like not worth for me. I have some friends of the family who work at the clinic that asked me to do some content for them for internal marketing or for internal branding, I guess, for like workplace violations and stuff like that. But I mean, if it's going to become a hassle, then it's like not worth whatsoever. We'll look over our ETH low here and see if it can sustain. This is our push into a next target on ES into previous day value high in our 419. Russell has a bit more room up until we get to target. Again, we talked about this just into our 30-second opening range. I bet that that's probably the high of the day on retest here. I'm not looking for expansion until we show that as supportive. Just kind of expecting that we come up into this and then reject and then probably like rotate down to VWAP or something. But uptrend very much intact off of our pivots, and we're rotating up. Just back to our over our ETH lows. So just back into our Globex range. Something that we could probably look at that will be worth is what happened in Globex and where are we currently trading compared to what happened in Globex. So we can see this is like probably the only time that I ever look at Globex is like, let's do an overall profile here. And then we do a profile of this low where we broke back in, and then a profile of this range here at our highs. So we know that we need to show very clear interest here. Above this pivot for us to get any higher prices. So I'm going to be watching to see if we can build above here for expansion potential for rotations back up to the seller, or if we're going to maintain. I'm going to move. Oops. What we know is that there's a lot of potential that we fail to build back over this range that we developed overnight, right? All we're doing is now testing into these lows, and that this right here is our area where we need to be respectful that sellers might load the boat here again, right? Without being able to get back into this is our risk right now, where we need to be able to push through. Does that make sense? This is just our balance from overnight. So what we're looking for is, can we build back into these lows where these buyers held us last night and push us back above? Or is this going to hold offer, and is supply going to be incredibly serious here, right, on this flip? And then do we rotate down off of it? So if you think about it, like all we're doing is like, yes, this is a bit extended, but all we're doing is retesting our overnight balance that was developed out where sellers were able to hold lower highs from the previous day, right? So like this is still a very clear sell side trend to downside on the higher time frame. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Do you follow me there? We're still in a downtrend, and we would just be retesting our distribution from overnight here. So until we can push through, right, and recover this edge here at 60 to 70 as supportive, we shouldn't expect a higher rotation. It doesn't make sense. But if we can get back over this and start to develop here, we should be able to then rotate up into these highs. giving us at least, like 40 points. So I want to be very cautious here because we know that sell side is trying to load the boat here, and they're going to try to prevent us from getting back in. And if they do that, then there isn't this upside potential for this rotation up into these highs.
Fed's Bostic says crypto is too small to put financial stability in play.
And it's the same thing on ES, just with previous day structure, right? Like if we're not showing any interest back over previous day value low, like what is that telling us? Well, the offer is very clearly shifted and is now being defended, right? Like if buy side value is now sell side value, right? We're holding previous day's value low as resistance. Like that's a pretty clear sign that we then don't want to rotate through yesterday's structure. So it's just always something to keep an eye on. Because like if we can start to build above here on ES, then we should be looking for rotations back up to previous day value high, right? In our ETH high, like this would then be our upside rotation, just like on NQ, where if we can get back inside of yesterday's value, then we can rotate through yesterday's value. But if there is no interest at our edge low, then we need to be very respectful that sell side is trying to give us a clue that we're putting in a lower high, right? So nothing has been proved yet conclusively, but we are so far rejecting what makes sense, right? So our previous day value low to POC, we're holding that as resistance, and that was why it's such a good risk off as we push into this. If we can start to build above, that's a great sign that we want to then rotate through yesterday's value. I mean, it could be a good risk to reward freeze, I mean, just don't oversize, but yeah. I mean, if the trend continues, then it does make sense. Just have to see what happens. The way that I see it is more so like tomorrow, if we open lower, right, we just respect that we're still in this downtrend and the pattern is persisting where we're putting in these lower highs and that until we flip it, right? Like we should just have a slight bearish bias and we just play the reoffers back into important areas and we continue downwards until we see some sort of right side of V. Personally, I rather play that on a daily basis than try to have to be stressed overnight. There's nothing worse for me personally than like being in larger positions, swinging, and then having to be like awake and fully aware at open and even before open, really, because you have to have an idea of what you're doing and if it's worth staying in from positions that you took like the night before. It's very stressful for me. So I hardly ever do it anymore. The mental fatigue is just a lot. But I think there's nothing wrong with hedging with options as long as you understand your risk. You're not over leveraging. Dude, what is this photo? I'm so confused. Later, Zeno. What is this photo? Why is he in a bathtub? Surf is what's your friend's name who writes the blog on the liquidity instruments and like macroeconomics and all that? What's his name again? Yeah, Malt Liquidity. Does he is he pretty far right? I know he's a little like schizo sometimes. Is he right leaning or left leaning? Does he like Besant, or does he think he's an idiot? Do you know? That's crazy. Malt Liquidity was on the stock market show yesterday. Interesting. I don't know. I just listened to this and I like don't understand how anyone thinks this guy's intelligent. So I always am. It's like my litmus test. I'm so confused at this. Really interesting. Stock market show. I don't know if I've ever. Is that a YouTube channel? Stock market show. Oh, from Captain Jim James. That's what you're talking about. Ballwiz? No, that's not the same person. The guy's name is Molt Liquidity. Yeah, it's all right though. I appreciate you looking out. I so far don't see anything that I want to be taking long wise. Again, like I think we just kind of like chop here for a bit. This is again, this area is our Globex low, right? So we need to show interest above this 60 to 70 for me to think that we have any opportunity to go up further from here. To me, this is kind of just like a very easy area to take off longs and let things just kind of settle and see if we have interest above for higher. But so far, like we're just not showing any interest yet. That can change, but like note it that we have 18 minutes left on the day, right? So is it going to be enough of a, even if we do look above, is it going to have enough actionability to sustain into tomorrow? I don't have that answer. The way that we're building right now is pretty wishy-washy up here. But all what I do know is like it is very clear that we're not showing any interest yet over previous day value low to POC from yesterday's daily value on ES, and we're not showing any interest so far that's sustainable over our Globex low from on NQ. And I know that we need to make this supportive for us to have any sustained ability to push up. But once we do, right, we do have room. Like we've already talked about this, we can then rotate up here into Globex value. But I need to see that sustained bid above for me to really care about this area, or it's just like a pretty easy risk off for longs to me. So that's why I'm not really saying much right now. Is like I had already talked about this hours ago that I thought that our high would probably be in once we got back up to RTY 30-second opening range. And that's still in play, right? I'm not showing any signs of life above yet. That can change, of course, but my outlook of what I was looking for is playing out and is sustaining below as of right now. So I'm not incredibly bullish up here. If we can push back over and hold, awesome, right? Like then we can look back up and we have very clear structure to play around that I'm more than happy to play around. But until then, like these are RPTs for the day. And now it's just a waiting game to see what happens. For me, you do you, but I don't have high confidence here. I mean, this might be the first honest thing that I've heard Besson say, and I don't even know if he meant to say it. If you don't have assets, you're struggling. Hmm. So it looks like we have two call walls here. We have a wall of a gamma wall at 420, 425, which is where we're currently trading right now on ES. And then we have a wall at 35 to 40. So that seems to be our limiting factor right now. We already knew that this previous day value edge makes sense, but we're going to have to be able to very clearly push over this 20 to 25 for anything more on ES. And I'm now seeing that gamma also shows that. But I think if we can flip that 2025, a push up into that 3540 makes the most sense. So I'm just labeling it as such. Now that I've seen that. MOC. We've got 10 minutes left, 8 minutes, 2 minutes till MOC. Actually, a minute and a half until MOC. Expect some volatility. Again, we're just at our edge. I have no say in the game up here. No skin in the game, sorry. Got to either flip this and show it as supportive, and then we can look for that rotation up, or I kind of just expect us to chop here and then rotate down. Need to
1
show
minute
very
now until we
clear
get the market on close imbalance.
interest over this 60 to 70 on NQ for me to believe in any upside. Need to show very clear interest over the over this 420, 425, and then we can rotate up to that 34 to 40. So just gonna have to wait and see. Again, MOC, 30 seconds. Expect volatility.
Ten seconds. Market on close imbalance. S&P 500 buy side 1.5 billion, Nasdaq 100 buy side 490 million, Dow 30 buy side 335 million, Mag 7 buy side 387 million.
Just a little spike into our supply. Back to our ETH flow here on NQ after rejecting into our 60. ES still no interest over previous day value load, POC. Again, not really looking for upside until those flips. Just balance here, and then we get a decision. This could easily curl over into Globex or recover, right? Like we just don't know. All we know is that we're putting in higher lows after holding our pivot below, and that we've rotated up to target on the day. Muscle into our 30-second opening range. Still no interest above our previous day value or 30-second opening range day open. We got to see it to believe it. Until then, no touch from me. What'd you guys do today? Good day, bad day, neutral day? Good day? Huge. You glad you joined up, Rocket? I feel like you've been having a good time here. Yeah, I'm glad you took a chance, man. It's good to see some of like the lurkers from YouTube join up. Can you tell that there's someone selling here? See if they step out of the way into close, or if this is just going to continue to chop. It's so volatile here. 5 minutes left. Secondary algos just stepped in.
So keep in mind we're 5 minutes away from the top of the hour. We do get the cash equity close, but we're also expecting Trump's swearing in ceremony for the EU ambassador. So the roll call does note this is a closed press event. We'll be on the lookout for any videos. If there is one, we'll get it out on the feed.
What an attempt to lift over our pivot here into end of day. See if they can sustain it, or if this just rejects and we retrace it. Again, gotta show 60 to 70 is supportive, or this is like meaningless. Offer very clearly sitting there. Goodbye. I don't know what that was. Later, man. Have a good rest of your day. Yeah, it's so hard to sustain after taking breaks. It's real tough. That's why I really am a huge proponent of like screenshots and just like really documenting in the initial stages when you think you've got something going on of like what was working and what wasn't, so that when you do take breaks you can go back and be like, oh yeah, this is what was working for me, this is what wasn't, these are my plays, this is when things don't look well. Like one of the biggest problems that I see a lot of newer traders, and not even new, I would say inexperienced, or ones that are just starting to follow like an actual like a system and are just learning to become systematic, is they do really well for a really long time, or for the current regime, I should say. And then when the regime shifts, they panic because the plays that have been working for them all of a sudden stop, right? And so like you can be very mechanical in your systems, but you also have to be aware of when regimes shift and when you should be taking said setups, right? Like that's the biggest problem, and why like algos have a really hard time when you're building out algo strategies, is because if you don't know which regime you're in, if we're in a trending up market, a very neutral bias market, or a bearish market, like your systems need to adapt with that, right? Like your bullish systems aren't going to work very well in a bearish or neutral market. And so when you come back and you take a larger break, you'll have ideas from a previous regime, right, where we were going up, or we were in a very neutral balanced market, and then like things are different, and you're like, okay, well, what the hell, what's going on? And so like really building out your library for different market conditions is going to help you adapt much faster until you're able to reference those, quickly in the moment without it. Just have to train yourself and build out that visual library until you become very familiar with it. And I think that's like one of the biggest problems with a lot of retail algos and strategies is like they have like a set system, right? Like a buy here, sell here, right? And it has to work. And it's like they trained it on all this data, but like then the regime shifts, and then it's you're back to square one. And it's the same thing for strategies where it's like, oh, I'm buying the flip of this MA, and it's like, okay, great, but like what kind of market are we in? That's why I like balance so much, because the market's in balance always, right? Like we're either in balance or we're in expansion. And if we can build out strategies for those two kinds of conditions, then we always have plays to make. When other people are like, this is garbage, I'm not trading this, it's like, oh, well, we're going to take the free 20 to 40 points over and over again until something changes, and we're going to be happy about it. I don't know. Like having the systems that don't require a very specific market condition, I think are really nice. And then just being aware of what kind of market we're in. Sometimes our balance trades just don't work because we're going to expand upwards, right? Consolidation will actually hold at our highs, and then we keep going.
10 p.m.
That's
Eastern
fine.
Time. RBNZ's governor
But
due to be speaking at the Parliament Select Committee on MPS.
we have strategies for both. The system we teach is incredibly fluid, very adaptive. All right, well, our offers are holding. Sell side was able to sustain. I don't really see anything here, but this is closed, guys. Our pivot's maintained, no change. We just need to wait to see if we look above and hold, or if this this seller continues to absorb here into 60 to 70, and then we lower. I would say that your reversion target, if this seller maintains overnight, I'd be looking for a pushback down to 260, 270 off of this move. So if, like, let's say this seller holds this high, right? We now are pushing down, and then we see a lower high we put in here, and we offer below. I would say you're probably getting a reversion to this area here. That'd be my guess. Right into here. Into our overnight session. Into this like 60, 70, and then we watch to see what happens. But this seems the most likely for a reversion trade off of that failure. And then we wait to see what happens. This should offer either like a very clear look back through balance, and then we play this rotation again, where we rotate this structure from zone to zone, or this will hold the supportive, and then we can look back up. But just very clear balance into end of day at our known pivot. And remember what this pivot is and why it's important. Like if we go back and we look, I want you guys to be aware structurally of why this makes sense, is this is just our value low from Globex, right? We had a very clear distribution that price traded in, and we maintained our lows, right? There was no interest back above where this buyer was in our Globex, where we were able to then rotate through. We then trapped above here, right? This is a very clear balance trade, where this is our balance high, this yellow box, and this is our balance low, this yellow box. And so we trapped these guys here, sellers, and the bid was able to sustain and then push back through. And then we tried to look back above and failed, and then we get our lower high, and then we get our look down because we have trapped liquidity above. So now when we tried to re-enter in this area, right, into end of day, we rejected this edge of our Globex balance, right, and showed no interest above. So far, we've seen nothing to tell us that we want to go higher, and we have a continuation of our overall structure for downside. If we can push above, this 60 to 70 flip should offer a rotation into like 420, 430. It's something to be aware of what to look for if we do ever show interest above. If not, then rotating back down into this liquidity here makes the most sense after this failure, right? Just coming back down into the structure and overnight. That's what I'd be watching for. That's all I got for you. You guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow. And for my non-Discord people, I will see you Friday. All right? Have a good rest of your week. Peace.